Welcome to Relationship Matters with your host, Melvin
and Monica Jenkins. The purpose of our program is to give you strategies on dating and
choosing the correct mate and having a successful marriage. Good evening and God bless you. Good to see you tonight on Relationship Matters with your host, Melvin. That's me and my lovely wife, Monica. We thank God for allowing us to be here one more time. And we just thank you just for an opportunity to come into the house one more time just to give his name some praise this evening, talking about relationships. And we're glad that you joined us this evening, that we're able to touch on a few other significant points that'll help you in your marriage or help you in that relationship, because when it comes to a woman, the Bible says that whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And when you look at that scripture and understands that God has given you something that is a good thing, something that he treasured and he made in his own image just for you, because he knew that a man would need a helpmeet. And that helpmeet is there to help you go to the next level. And oftentimes some men are not successful because they don't have that correct partner. And usually when you have that correct partner, it's someone that's equally yoked with you. And when we deal with somebody that's equally yoked, that means that they're on the same playing field. They're just not all about what they want or what their objective is. It's a team effort because there's no I's in team. But this evening, we just wanted to touch just for a few minutes this evening, and it's a broad spectrum of possibilities, but we just wanted to touch on like 10 of the key points that we felt were key points in what does a woman need. And when we think about that, there's a lot of aspects of what a woman needs, because they want to be nurtured, they want to be cared to, they want to be protected. A lot of things fall under this category, and then the key to it is, and that's significant, is that when she finds her husband, she wants her husband to edify her because of the fact that she's his jewel. And when we say that, because a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. In other words, you are a wise man, and if you could speak into everyday existence about what you want, what you expected out of your spouse, and you've gotten what God has given you, what you're showing is that you have invested in someone that brings value to you. And when I say brings value to you, it brings value to your personality. It brings value to who you are, because of the fact that you wouldn't be whole or complete without your partner. And when you have the partner of your choice, you found a good thing, and now that you found a good thing, what are you going to do with it? So tonight we just wanted to touch on, just for a few minutes, what does a woman want? And we have a woman of God that knows what women want. You know, she has a real life lifestyle at it, because she's a woman and she knows what she wants. So most women pretty much wants most of the same things. So tonight that we'll start with point number one, that she wants to feel like she's number one in your life. And when we say that, you know, she's got to be your all in all. Whereas when you deal with different situations, you put her first. She's number one. She was there before the children. Yes, we're going to love our children, absolutely, and we're going to protect our children. But she's the one that helped you make the children. So now she's got to still be number one, regardless of the children coming along. She's got to be number one over the job. She's got to be number one over your mother and your father, because when you do make that choice, it says when a man leaves his mom and dad, he cleaves to his wife. So now that we've gone to another level, she's always got to come first. She can't come second after golf. She can't come second after driving your new car, or she can't come second to fishing. She has to always come first. So she's got to be number one. And I'll let Monica elaborate on how she's got to be number one.
Well, good evening. In being number one, we just want to feel special. We want to feel as if we're not a chore. We don't want to feel like we're a burden. We don't want to be looked at as your mom. We want to just feel special. And we, as women, most of us, when we have a mate, most of us want to please our mate and we want them to please us. So we just want to be first. And I think you said a mouthful when you said after the parents, because I noticed that a lot of men have a really important relationship when it comes to their mom. And sometimes mothers can be overbearing when that child is married and now she's not number one and now the wife is. It can be a really difficult task, and I think as a wife you don't want to feel like you're in competition with his mom. So I think that that's really important, moving past the leave and the cleave and really sticking to letting her be number one.
Absolutely, and just to expound on that just a little more, understand this, brothers, that when you're making her number one, yes, all you knew was mama growing up, and mama was your number one lady because that's who brought you into this world. But what we're trying to say is that your wife becomes number one. You don't want mom to feel second-handed, but it's not that you're throwing her away, but you've matured to the point where now you have to become the head of your household. And now that you're the head of the household, your spouse is your right hand. And if that right hand is not protected, it will make division within the home. And so you don't want to have division within the home, because when you became one, when you said I do, you became one. And now you're yoked together, and now that you're one, she needs to feel like she's number one. She needs to be the priority. You don't put her second to mom, or you don't put her second to the kids. You don't put her second to anything else. She comes first. So consider her feelings, consider her what's going on in her life, because of the fact that yes, you have all of these daily things that you go through and all these other aspects of work and other parts of the family, but still take time out to make her feel special where she's number one.
And then it helps to go to number two, because she also needs intimacy. And basically that's into me you see.
All right.
So you basically want to be able to kind of court her. You don't want to just get her and stop and, okay, so this is my wife. I don't have to do anything else. It's over, No, she likes to be courted. She wants to know that you're thinking about her throughout the day. She doesn't just want when you come home and say, okay, you ready to go to bed? She wants to be courted throughout the day. She wants to know that she means something to you, that she's special to you, that you yearn for her, not just at the end of the night. She wants to be courted. She loves the fact that when you get a chance to call her from work and you send her a text and say, I love you, I'm thinking about you. She wants that. She wants to feel like not only is she special and she is your number one pick, but that you still adore her. It's nothing better than getting a text from my husband sometimes and just say something simple like, good morning, sweetheart. Just something real simple, because I know he's super busy at work. That means something to me, just to hear him or see the text message or hear him on the phone and say, well, I had a couple of minutes. What you doing today? Or whatever, what the case may be, it means something to you. And so she wants that intimacy. She wants that time alone with you. She wants to know that you still choose her.
Absolutely, because when you give that intimacy, it is saying something, that letting her know she's special, that you're taking time out of your day to say, hey, I love you, or just kisses or what have you, throughout the day, because you don't know what she's going through at her job or at the church or whatever. You know, she may be dealing with issues that's compounded one on another, and she needs that break of her best friend, her spouse, her boo, telling her that he loves you, or you know, and when saying that, and you're not just calling just to say something crazy. You're calling to say something that's coming from the heart. Because most of the time, us as men, as being protectors, what we always want to do is we want to try to fix you. And we're at a point in relationships today, that's to me, that's one of the reasons why a lot of relationships unravel, because the man's trying to fix her in the way that he wants her to be. Well, she's an individual just like you are. And there's certain things that are never going to change, and there's certain things that will change. It's called compromise. And when you're compromising in a relationship, when you're dealing with intimacy, you have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So now, don't try to fix her. What you need to do is listen. And with that point, I really wanted to go into, just for a little few minutes, don't stop listening, because of the fact that what happens oftentimes in relationships, you get to a point where you hear what they're saying, but you're not listening. See, I can say something all day long, you know, but if I pronunciate it wrong or come across with a different tone, she'll stop listening, because she's thinking I'm trying to fix her, or vice versa. And so with a woman, you have to be delicate, because a woman has more emotions than a man. And when I say that, what I'm saying is this: lend her an ear. Let her know I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm not going to stop listening to what you're saying, because what happens in relationships, after years upon years, you get to the point whereas you stop listening to the spouse, because you heard this same thing or the same rhetoric over and over and over again. But if you just open up your ears and really listen, and if you say, I'm going to keep listening, because if you stop listening in a relationship, your relationship can end, because you stop listening to what she had to say. So, brothers, I'm saying this to you: find time in the schedule when you're being intimate, or find time in the schedule when you're just having general conversation, to make sure you're listening to what she's saying. And women, make sure you're listening to what he's saying also, because of the fact that both parties want to be heard, and neither party wants to be put out of place because of the fact that I want to hear what you're saying. I heard what you said. And when you hear what they're saying, now you can let the relationship process, because it won't process if we don't hear each other.
And when you're listening, the key to listening is actually taking heed to what they're saying. There are times when you have a conversation with your spouse, and maybe you're talking about some suggestions, or maybe things that you might want to do differently, or maybe even some things you may want to try, new job, career, go back to school. You've mentioned some different things. Sometimes when you're listening and you don't act upon it, it makes that person feel like you're really not listening. A prime example is something like, okay, can we just only have 3 pair of shoes at the door? And you've been saying it over and over and over again, and then, you know, you may have 10 pair of shoes at the door. It makes that spouse feel like you're not listening, because I'm not trying to be your mom, I'm not trying to be your dad, but, you know, if you were listening to my suggestions or my subtle hints, maybe it would change. You would do something with this. So we need to listen to one another, and then we also need to do something with what we heard. It's really hard to talk to someone and confide in someone and never see a change. You want to see some things change. You want to see things develop. You're hoping that something happens. Even if I'm saying I want to go back to school, and I'm thinking about school, and perhaps you find out how much a credit hour is at a certain school, it meant you were listening because you just tried to somewhat assist me in something that I talked about. And because men want to help and be fixers, you will tend to see them do that if they believe in what you're talking about. And that's a whole nother step. If you don't really believe in what the person is talking about or attempting to convey what they want to do, we tend to not try to assist them with it at all. So you want to listen and also possibly assist in that.
Absolutely. And when you say assist, that means you're trying to help. In other words, don't try to take the situation and try to explain it back to the spouse because you didn't really listen. What you need to do is take the information, absorb it, and now go back to the drawing board and say, how can I help without fixing it? So when I say help without fixing it, what I'm trying to let you know is this. You want her to process it, but maybe you can give some suggestions. Whereas you're not, giving a lecture saying this is what you need to do. Because some men have that overprotective spirit where we want to dictate to the wife and tell them this is what we're going to do, and some women accept that and some don't. And when I say that, what I'm saying is they're individuals also. And if you can respect their individuality and understand that they want to be an equal partner, yes, you're the head. Yes, I'm the head. But when it's open and mutual, it's a team effort and you can discuss it. Yes, oftentimes, and I learned this over the years, I could go to someone in leadership, whether it's on the job, whether it's in the church or what have you, and present something. Amen. And when you present it in a way where you're like, hey, I had this idea. Let's throw this out on the table. And the leader or the employer can say, well, yeah, we would like to do that, but we're going to do it this way. Now the ideal has come to pass that it was really your ideal, but they took it and ran with it and put their twist on it. Mm-hmm. So then now it's their brand, which is great, but you still got the point across of getting to the point of where you want it to go. That's listening. That's when everybody, all the parties are listening to what's going on and they're throwing suggestions but they're not lecturing. They're not telling anybody that's what they need to do. They're suggesting. Mm-hmm. Amen.
Also, she needs you as the husband to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. She needs you to trust her with your secrets, with your heart. Tell her things that you possibly wouldn't have told anyone else. Give her the opportunity to be a part of your life and a private part where you peel back the layers and you allow her to see who you actually are. And even if you've been together for a length of time, even simple things like my aspiration at 40, I wanted to do this. By this time, I would have wanted to have had this, or your inner thoughts, your things that you don't necessarily talk to other people about. She wants to see that. She wants to know those thoughts that you haven't really processed perfectly. She just wants to be a part of that, and being a part of that, you exploring those different ideas with her gives her the mindset and the opportunity to explore with you and understand that how much you really trust her with your secrets.
Absolutely. So as a man, you would have to become vulnerable and reveal some things that you may have desired or what have you. So just on the other day, we were talking and she asked me, she said, well, what was your dream job? And I always thought about, really I wanted to be an accountant, a certified public accountant, a CPA. And then when I got to college, I had kind of got sidetracked because accounting wasn't as easy as I thought it was. And so after year 2, I changed my major. And then with that vulnerability, I thought about what I wanted to do. And I always wanted to work in a big city in the downtown area, whereas I could dress nice and I was sitting in this nice executive office and thought I was a big shot. And so the other day I was downtown, and it's pretty cold outside right now, and I had to walk downtown around some buildings to get to the office that I was going to, and it's made me go back to that thought of that conversation, of that vulnerability. That's what I wanted to do. And after walking around that building, I said, I guess I wasn't supposed to do this because I didn't want to walk around in the cold in the dead of winter, especially because we live in a cold weather state. But yes, we have to be vulnerable as men with our spouse, that we give information that lets her know that she is my partner, lets her know that I trust you, lets her know that my emotions and how I handle my emotions, so that way we're on the same page. And so with us being vulnerable, also, not only do we have to be vulnerable, we need to give her praise. And now when I say that, there's probably some couples that are just listening to us right now, and I'm just being real. When is the last time you told your wife she's beautiful? You know, because you see her in the day-to-day running around with the grocery list of things to do, taking the kids here, doing this, doing that. You're going to see her because you're her spouse with bad hair days or what have you. When is the last time you said you praised her and gave her acknowledgement for all the hard work she's been doing, or how nice she looks? And that goes a long way. You know, even if it's only on Sunday, she puts her Sunday best on and fries and dyes her hair and lays it to the side. Mm-hmm. You need to let her know that she looks nice, because if you don't, someone else will. And so you need to always praise her and let her know she's a valuable part to your life, because she does not have to wash those dishes. She does not have to clean and wash your clothes. And some of them don't, but in most cases she's not obligated to do that. She's doing her wifely duties because she said, "To death do us part," just like you said. But you can't just take those things for granted.
And when she does different things, it's not so much a chore all the time. Some of the things you want to do for your spouse because you know it makes them happy. And like my husband loves for the bed to be made. So I make the bed up. I think it is the corniest thing in the world, but because I feel like it's going to be messed back up, so why, whatever. So, but I make the bed up because it's something that makes him happy. Not necessarily, it doesn't really make or break me, but he made a point one day and he said, you know, sometimes even if the room isn't all the way clean, if you have the bed made up, it just makes the room look so much nicer. So I thought about it, and then I made the bed up, I walked out the room, and I came back in, and I'm like, it does, it really does. It makes it look as if something is going on good in here, and it's, you know, even if it's not crispy clean, it looks so neat when the bed is made up, especially if you have, you know, a nice comforter with the pillows and everything is sitting on there and it's in its perfect place. It does make a difference. And so now I'm the last one out the bed 99.9% of the time because he goes to work so early. And so I try to make the bed up before I leave. If I'm going to still be in the house and I'm lounging in the bed, I may not. But the majority of the time, I try to make the bed up because not only does he like it, but he proved a point to me. I mean, I understood the concept. And sometimes just little things that your spouse likes and just doing those little things just makes them feel special, and it makes them feel like you're giving them some type of praise because you're listening to them. And so getting off subject or whatever about making the bed up, but then you get an aha moment like, wow, it does make perfectly good sense. So
yeah, but you have to make a habit of praising them, you know, acknowledging them for what they've accomplished, because sometimes, you know, people are brought up under different backgrounds and different surroundings, and they may have treated things in a different way than you treated it. So when it becomes a team effort, and in your newlywed days, you start learning different things about your spouse, but then after you get past the newlywed days, then you get into a routine. But a lot of people get into the routine, and then the routine becomes, you know, every day, and then now there's no more excitement because you've gotten past the honeymoon days, and so now we're at the point where we're seasoned now, and we take certain things for granted. So to help in a relationship that really matters to you, you can't take anything for granted. You have to plan and set date nights, plan little getaways, you know, do something spontaneous like, hey, we're going out of town. We're going to take a 3-day trip, and we're just going to go. Can you get these 3 days off, and, you know, plan it and make it work so that you guys have a good time, because that's praising her for what she's done and all of the things she's been accomplishing, because of the fact that day to day gets old. I know we're in a pandemic right now, and I know we shouldn't be traveling and doing all that, but you know, you can go to a bread and breakfast place and just stay in the room, you know, and take your own food if you want to. Some of us do, but that way you get some alone time. I know most of us are tired of being cooped up in our houses. We want to get out. We're used to being out doing things, but we're in a time in life that we can't afford to just be doing business as usual. Mm-hmm. You know, we used to say a phrase in the church years ago, business as usual. We said no more business as usual, you know, because we had gotten to a routine in the church. This is how we would know when at this time right here, this would be happening. At this time, this would be happening. But when we found out about the Holy Ghost, we understood that the Holy Ghost will change a program. And if the Holy Ghost can change a program, it can change a relationship. You know, it could take out bad habits and put in good habits and switch up the thing, whereas now we're doing things spontaneously because we were led by the Spirit of God to do something different. So when we're dealing with the needs of a woman, we have to understand that, you know, a woman sometimes is fickle. I know I'm going to get myself in trouble now. Sometimes they don't know what they want. But as their helpmate, as their husband, we have to be in a place where we help make some of those decisions. We know what they like. We know what they don't like, so that we don't do something that we know that they don't like. You know, we try to do and oblige as much as possible so that we make her time as happy with what we're doing as we want to be happy with it. When we start praising her in these different areas. So, for instance, so if I go, we go out to dinner, and I pick a restaurant, and I know what the restaurant specializes in. I know what my wife likes to eat, and I know what she doesn't like to eat. So as a reward, or as me praising her because I wanted to take her out to dinner somewhere, I have to understand that I've got to make this right. I've got to order the correct stuff because we know one another. And so I want to praise her in that area. And also the other thing that I want to talk about, and I know we're moving along pretty quick here tonight, you've got to let her be part of the team. Let me explain it this way. So if, and I could really talk about it in ministry a lot because that's what we are. We are in ministry. My wife has to be part of the team. My wife is my right-hand man or right-hand woman. I'm just using that terminology. Y'all know what I mean. You have to allow her some freedom in ministry. Yes, we're the pastor. Yes, we make the final decision. But there's certain things in ministry that she should already know that we're giving her the right of way to make that decision. You know, most of the men that are in ministry, most of them let their wives be in charge of their women's ministry within their church in most cases. But, you know, we give her a leeway. Certain things she knows when she gets to a certain point, it's just called protocol and respect for us being the man of God, that they'll come back and say, I got this situation. You know, I didn't make a call on this because this is what the situation is, and I know this is the pastor's decision to make. But there's certain little things that she shouldn't have to come to me and ask, can I do this, or should this be done? It should automatically be able to be done. So that's letting her know she's part of the team. You know, I'm not isolating her, whereas she on the Isle of Patmos, or she's on sitting on pins and needles and can't make no decisions. She's part of my team, and she's part of my team. I can allow her to do things without retaliation, without putting the fear of God in her that you shouldn't have done that, you know, and making the situation angry or angering both parties. Like, well, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to be part of the team, but you didn't like the decision that I made. So now here we are in a situation where we're acting like enemies instead of acting like foes. So now when we deal with that, we're dealing with, okay, she's never going to make another decision because she feels like I'm walking on eggshells, and if I do this, he's going to be mad. If I do this, he's going to be mad. You got to allow enough leeway because she's part of the team. And most of the time, if you're really having intimate conversations with your spouse, some of these conversations will be talked about at pillow talk. And you make these decisions, and I'm okay with them, and support her 100% behind that.
And that's even like with the children.
Right.
There's sometimes when you have to make a decision, you don't have time to pick up the phone and say, well, this is what happened when little Johnny said this, and this happened, and the teacher said this, and I didn't have time to call you. I just made the decision. Little Johnny's going to get a tutor, and we're going to go after school. Excuse me. We're going to go after school 3 or 4 days a week for him to get his grades up in this particular area. The key is, if I feel like you trust my judgment, then I'm going to make the decision. I don't feel apprehensive or feel like, oh my God, if I do this, he's going to say this, and I didn't ask, I didn't get permission. If you're living like that, that is no way to live as husband and wife. If you're living like that, where you basically intimidated to make a decision, or to have your own thought process, or to have your own values, or your own goals, your own anything. If it's a dictatorship, it's not a marriage.
Right.
You have to allow her to feel like she's a part of you and a part of whatever you're in, whether it's your business or whether, it's your company or your church, the children, whatnot, or what have you. You want her to feel a part, even if she's not doing a major role, but you want her to feel a part. You don't want her to feel isolated, because what ends up happening is she doesn't like that thing, whatever that thing is. And if you're a pastor's wife, that's a scary place to be, for her to not like the church because you will not let her be a part of it. And she feels like it precedes her. So that goes back to the first thing we said. She's no longer number one.
Absolutely. And she has to be number one regardless of everything. As a man of God, we love the church. First of all, we love God first, then we love the church, we love our family. Amen. So, but we cannot separate and put the church before the family. Right. Because if we can't minister to the family, how do we expect to minister to a church? Right. I heard some preachers some years ago, he had some problems with some of his children, and he was a pastor in a church, and he closed his doors because he said, how can I pastor these people if I can't pastor the people that live in my house? And that was a very broad statement, and I'm like, wow, that's deep right there, And he said that was his decision to do because of the fact that he felt like if he couldn't minister to the people that lived right under his roof, how could he minister to all these people that are coming to this church and be effective if he wasn't effective in his own house? So that goes a long way. But back to the part of your spouse being part of the team, it has to be a team effort, because there's going to be times when you're not available and a decision has to be made. And even if it's the right or the wrong decision, you have to back them on it, After the situation is resolved, maybe you can go back and address and say, I really didn't like that decision, but to save face, I'm supporting you on it because I would have done it this way, and it'd be, no harm, no foul, because of the fact that you supported right through the situation, and you resolved it, whereas it wasn't no retaliation, there wasn't any anger, and that's how you have to do things in life. There comes decisions that have to be made, and some decisions are tough decisions, and you don't know what to do. I mean, when you talk about the children, Johnny got into a fight at school. He shouldn't have gotten into no fight in school. Well, they want to suspend him, or they want him to stay after school for detention. Well, I made the decision to allow him to be suspended. Well, why did you make the decision for him to just be suspended? Because I thought we could teach him a better lesson at home than him sitting in this room with detention with other kids that have done bad things also. Because as they say, birds of a feather flock together. So that kind of plays into the part of it. Why would you take someone that was not doing anything bad in their history, and then had one bad situation, and they got to go and hang out with the bad people when they only did something one time? It was a fluke. It was just something that just happened because he got into the fight because you taught him, the daddy taught him to defend himself. Somebody lay hands on you, you lay hands back on them. And now he got into a fight, whereas then now mama's got to deal with it because daddy's not available, and she makes a decision for him not to be in detention, for him to come home and just take the suspension. That's a decision. Some men may say, well, he should have just did the detention and dealt with that. But you got to back the decision that was made, because she's part of the team. She made a decision. It was a team effort. So now that decision was made, now you bring Johnny home and you discuss with him, what happened, why did it happen, why did he have to lay hands on the person? Did the person hit you first, or what? You go through the whole situation and get it from A to Z, because you know your children, so you'll get the story. And as we were growing up, we, as human beings, lied to our parents, be honest, and after we lied to them, they saw right through us, because they know you, they know when you're lying. And so as we became adults, we saw the same thing with our children. We knew when one was telling us a tale. We would say, "You telling me a tale?" "No, I'm not, Dad." "Yes, you are. I know you." So as a partnership, as a team, you have to let your spouse be part of the team where they are able to make certain decisions.
And then don't make them feel bad for the decisions that they made.
Absolutely.
And because if you are a part of the team, we're gonna have some things that we don't agree on, and like you said, that's something that we can go back to and address later. But don't make them feel humiliated that they made that decision that way, or make them feel less than because they weren't able to complete that task that you per se wanted done. Maybe you guys have a business, whatever the case may be. If she's a part of the team, then you want her to feel comfortable with the decision making and comfortable with the things that are said and done. And I know personally, as a pastor's wife that does not sing, sometimes when you don't sing, because I don't know, whatever reason, you're supposed to be able to sing. I don't know where that started, where that came from, but when you don't sing, sometimes that can make you feel less than. Well, you're going to preach? Okay, put your wife up to sing. Well, I don't sing. And I mean, I directed the choir, did a decent job doing that, but I just don't sing. I am Kirk Franklin in the female form, okay? I can tell you how to hit the key, what it is, and if you're off, I just don't sing. And so I know at points in ministry that bothered me, because a lot of times they were like, well, we're going to put you up before your husband preach. And do what? No, you're not. So that could, be something that makes them feel bad or whatever. But being a part of the team, that's something that your husband can easily tell them, no, you want me to have a soloist, I'll bring a soloist. Don't worry about it. Let me make that decision. So it also doesn't make her feel like she can't sing. Let me go get so and so around the corner, or saying something like that. But it makes her feel better and being a part of the team. And my husband in ministry has done that all the time. Let me be a part and have me doing different things. And then if I'm not comfortable with that, okay, well, let's see how you can become comfortable with it or whatever. And he never made me feel like I had to do anything, and he never made me feel like I wasn't good enough to do other things. And in ministry, I see the whole gamut of it. I've seen husbands that belittled their wives because, he thought that she couldn't preach or she couldn't teach, sing, whatever. You're not going to embarrass me. I've heard it all. But I thank God that my husband has never made me feel like that. I've always felt like I was part of the team. And even when I didn't want to, per se, do certain things, he helped me with becoming better, with making different decisions and doing different things. So you definitely want her to be a part of the team. You definitely want to help basically groom her in that particular thing and not make her feel less than.
Amen. And I don't feel bad that she can't sing, because I can't sing. Amen. But our girls can sing a little bit, so we thank God for them. If we can just get them to move back to the state of Michigan, we can get them to be singing solos for me all the time. Amen. But you got to let her be part of the team, and then if she's part of the team while she's making these decisions, this, that, and the other, we have to also understand that whatever decision she makes, we have to defend that decision, or in other words, we protect her. And as a man, we always, we're protectors of our family. We protect our wives, we protect our children, we protect our mother and fathers. But when we start dealing with protection of our spouse, it has to be done on a whole different level, because not just on the physical level, but it's got to be, you got to defend her on the emotional level and protect her emotions also, because women are emotional creatures. So when that's being said, even when she's been criticized about something, we have to protect and defend her, because of the fact that she wants to know that you're there for her. She don't want to feel like she's out on an island by herself and she's got to fend for herself, and you're supposed to be her husband. You're supposed to defend her and protect her and have her back. So somebody always wants someone to have their back. In spite of and despite anything that's going on, you want her to know that I got you. Whatever we're going through, I got you. It could be hell and high water, but I got you. It could be right or wrong, I still got you. So that goes a long way, because obviously I'm not going to let nobody physically harm her, but sometimes as men, because we're not emotional like women, we may miss something and they feel vulnerable because you didn't protect me or defend me. You didn't know how that felt. So sometimes it takes, and I've been guilty of it, it takes her bringing it to my remembrance. Did you hear how that was said? Because sometimes we could hear things said one way, and back to that listening thing. We could hear things said, and it doesn't sound the same way that they heard it, or vice versa. And that's even in our day-to-day conversations. We can have a conversation and mean nothing by it, but it was the tone of it. Well, you said it this way. It was harsh. I didn't feel like it was harsh, honey. I just said this. No, that's not what you said. My wife's good for that. She'll tell me, that's not what you said. And I said, that is what I said. But that's what my mind said that I said. And then she said, well, let me repeat it back to you. And you sit there and you listen like she's a very good listener. And she'll repeat it back. Well, I guess I did say it like that, but I didn't mean it like that. Honest to God, I didn't mean it that way. And that's the way it came across. So when we're dealing with conversations and dealing with the listening point, because in any relationship, for it to work, everyone has to be a good listener. Because if you don't listen, everything will bypass you and you will miss the essence of what's going on, and it'll be like you're the elephant in the room and you didn't see none of the stuff going on, but you're the biggest thing in the room. So we got to get to the point where we really listen, and when we listen, we'll know when to defend, we'll know when to protect when we're listening. And so I employ somebody out there. Make sure you're listening. What are they saying? And take it and expound on it and understand what are they really saying.
Because sometimes what you're angry about has nothing to do with what you're angry about. It's just that last straw, and you're really upset about blah blah blah, and then this little thing over here happened, and so it really wasn't that. It was what happened over here, and that comes with listening and being able to hear when she said it the first time. So when something else happened, it just escalated because this was never taken care of over here. And women have a tendency, because we are sensitive, and we have a tendency to hear different things, and we have what I call intuition, where we can see different things, and sometimes men just don't get that. They didn't grasp that, she just hit on you right in front of me, and you just missed that whole thing, for real. And men just don't see that sometimes, and they don't hear it, but a woman can kind of pick up on what another woman is saying. And sometimes you do talk to your spouse about it, and then sometimes I always say you pick your battles, because everything that happens doesn't have to be addressed, but you don't want anything festering, so then you just pop off when the next thing comes. So yeah, being protected by your spouse is so important, to know that he has me no matter what, and it's not so much as physical. I'm not trying to, you get your gun out or your shield and your sword. It's not the protection I'm talking about, but knowing that you are there to have my back means so much. It could be something as simple as, I just don't get along with my boss at work. No matter what I've tried, no matter what I said, and I explained this to you, I gave you this scenario, I told you this scenario, and if he's listening, he's going to give me ways to try to intervene, or basically it's protection in him giving me different scenarios to try. That's a form of protection without pulling out a sword, okay? So that's just a way. And then if he's not listening, then I'm just talking, and he's like, the next day I say something, oh, what you talking about? Well, I told you what happened. Been happening all week. And you're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. So that doesn't make you feel protected. It doesn't make you feel protected at all. But when your husband is attempting to give you different ways to maybe negotiate the deal, maybe he's trying to tell you, well, let me come in and let me close the deal, or whatever. That's defending, that's protecting, that's trying to assist, and that's trying to let you know that he hears you. And I think protection is very important. When a woman doesn't feel protected by her spouse or by her husband, or you're dating, whatever, when she doesn't feel protected, she tends to look for someone to do that protecting, because it was always daddy before. And so now you're married and you're looking for your spouse to do it, but when your spouse isn't doing it, then she kind of, that's one of the ways that you don't leave and cleave.
Amen.
So it's very important.
Absolutely, that's real important. And while you're showing her that you want to protect her and defend her, when you listen, again, back to this listening, if you're really listening, you make her feel like her opinion matters, because you listened to what she had to say, and now you've taken her opinion and you've digested it, and then now that you've listened to it and you've given her some pointers or some advice or suggestions on how to deal with it, it goes a long way. And so it's kind of like with your business or just in your regular household, just different opinions about how to improve goes a long way, because she wants her opinion to be valued. So in most homes, most of the women control the kitchen. Some homes, the men control the kitchen, but they want the decor to look a certain way because women are much better at decor than men are, and that's just my opinion. Some of y'all brothers can do it. It's just not me. But when it comes to decor, they'll have a suggestion on how they want it or how they want it to look. And so with that opinion, they're valued because they understand that you value their opinion. So now we're going to change the color of the kitchen to from white to peach or whatever it may be. We're going to change the color of the cabinets from walnut to a rustic gray or whatever it may be. And these opinions count because they know that you're listening to what they're saying. And now you've gotten to a point where we can take this opinion that you gave and we can turn it into a decision that we're going to do in our household, or we're going to do in our business, we're going to do in our church. We're going to do this and do that because of the fact that we took what she said, evaluated it, and after we got her to finish evaluating it, we took her advice and used it, to improve the quality of living, to improve whatever we're dealing with. So her opinion counts, and when we make her feel like it counts, it goes a long way, because some of y'all listen to what they say and then you don't act on it. So now their opinion they feel like their opinions do not count because you have not built her up in that area to let her know, I really appreciate your thought on that, and I was thinking, what if we did it this way? And we'll use what your thought is, but if we just put this little twist on there, and then she'll take that back and absorb it and say, well, yeah, I like that. So yeah, we'll take the cabinets and we'll repaint them from walnut into this rustic gray. But while we're doing that, we're going to change the handles on the cabinets to this color or what have you, or we're going to put a bronze handle on it. So this makes her feel like my opinion really mattered, and he liked my idea, so now we're going to do this, and it's going to improve the quality or improve the resale value of our home if we were thinking about selling it. So,
Right.
that goes a long way.
And then she feels like, again, you hear her. Simple as that. She feels like she does matter when you're listening to her, and she feels like, and when you're taking her suggestions, she feels like she is a part of the team. She feels like she's special. She feels like she's number one. She feels like you engage her, and then it's not hard for her to be intimate with you. A lot of men have complaints about when it comes to sexual relations. A lot of men have complaints about things like that. But when your wife doesn't feel these things, it's kind of hard to go to that part. So you want her to, all of these other checks to be checked so that you can get happy too. So
Lord, touch her.
So sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, you don't want her to be frustrated and upset all the time and feel unwanted, not feel important, not feel like she's a part of the team, not feel like you value her opinion. You don't want her to feel any of those ways. So that's all we need. That's some of the things that we need. Of course, there are more things that we need, but we that's that. I'm not talking about monetary things and things like that. We're talking about some basic one-on-one things, and sometimes we just need our spouse to understand where we are, period. Because at different times of our lives, we're at different stages. We go through different things, and he called women fickle. We can be very fickle, and that's sometimes hormonal, and that's real talk. So there's different stages in our lives when we go through different things. We are emotional. But if we can get to the point where you comprehend where I am, I comprehend where you are, and we just work together and not feel like we have to address all the negative stuff, and sometimes just give opinions and suggestions on how we can get past this and we move forward, we won't have so many divorces.
Absolutely.
Because we're trying to work together to wrinkle things out, to unwrinkle the things. And a lot of times what happens is we tend to think we're looking at someone else's relationship, and we tend to think that everything's going so fine with them. And everybody has issues, everybody has problems. It's just how you decide to handle the problems. Sometimes we can handle the problems the wrong way, and that's why the marriage ends. It didn't necessarily end because you did A, B, C, and D. It was just the way you decided to handle them. And if you're always going to tell mom and dad the problems, sister the problems, friend the problems, and not talking to one another, that's a setup to end in failure. It's a setup. So you have to be rational and comprehend that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, that marriage is a second full-time job, and you got to put some work in, period.
Absolutely, and brothers, what you have to do, and the wife has to do this also. You have to share your lives, and when I say share your lives, you have to share your life with your spouse. So there's certain things that you like to do. You have to share that with them. If they don't like doing it, at least acknowledge and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do. What are you going to do while I'm doing this, or would you like to go?" It's not that you got something to hide. You want to go and do this activity. So in our case, I love to play golf. I go play golf with the fellas. If I go out of town, I want to go play golf if it's a nice place with warm weather, And if I'm going out of town and it's just my wife and I don't know anybody to play golf in this particular vineyard wherever I am. I'm willing to go to the golf course and I'll play with whoever they put me with, or I'll play by myself, as long as I get to play, And I've offered, I say, "Baby, would you like to go with me? And you can just ride in the cart and we can go. I'll go out and I'll just play 9 holes. That way we're only out here 2.5 hours, 2 hours really, and we can be back." And she'll choose time to time. Most of the time, "No, I don't want to go. I don't want to be out there." Fine, but I'm trying to share my life with her. If I got to go out to the job and do a quick job, and if she's not doing anything, "You want to ride out to the job with me?" And I go out there and do what I need to do at my workplace, And if I'm just going to the church, I'm gonna go to the church. I need to go and tidy up this, or I need to go and meet so and so here. Would you like to go? I'm sharing my life with her because she's my partner. She's my teammate. And so I'm offering this to her because I want to share my life with her. And likewise on the other side, I know we're not talking about the men, but sometimes the women, they have different hobbies that they do. And while they're doing these hobbies, a lot of the hobbies do not even interest us. We like, I don't even know why she's doing that. But to show affection that you're on the same team, you offer conversation about it. Well, why do you do it that way? And she'll explain why she do it that way. And what I do is, when I know what she's doing, so now that I know this is what she does, I'll help out. Say, "Well, did you want to go to this store right here? They got those pieces of equipment that you need to do this or that." And that way it shows her that I'm sharing, she's sharing, and I heard what she said. And I want to be part of it, even though, like golf doesn't influence her. She can't stand it or what have you. Same thing with some of her hobbies. But we became one as a team, and it is what it is. So now, as we go through this and we're sharing our lives with each other, in other words, what we're doing is we're not shutting one another out. And there's relationships out there that we're speaking life into today because you've shut your spouse out. You need to get to a point where you open up and you start sharing. Yes, I understand some of the couples out there, they have relationships where they have boys' night out and girls' night out. When we became one, we're two bored people together. We love each other, and this is what we do. I don't do a whole with the boys. I go out and I'll go and play golf. If I'm out with the guys playing golf, we might sit in the I can't think of the name.
Clubhouse?
In the clubhouse and eat some food and watch whatever sporting events on there. Usually it's golf, but sometimes if there's a big event going on, baseball, basketball, the finals or whatever, we'll sit there and watch a little bit of it, socialize for 30 minutes or so, and then get in the car because I got a long drive to get home, so we go our separate ways. But we're engaging in time away because you need time away. Do not get me wrong. You need time away from your spouse, but in the same note, you need to let them know what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's not that you're on a curfew. It's not that you in check. It's called a mutual relationship where you have an honesty program.
Mutual respect.
Yeah, mutual respect. I'm here and this is what I'm doing. If you're looking for me, I'm here. You know, if my phone died, I'll call you back shortly. This is where I'm at. So now what you're doing is when you do that, brothers, you are a man of integrity. You have some character. You know, this is what he said he was doing, and this is what he was doing. Okay, and then there comes a time where sometimes you have to tell a little tale, and I'm helping some brother right now. You want to go buy her a special gift, so you sneak off to go buy this special gift, and you have it. And she said, "Well, I tried to call you, and you weren't there." Well, I was there. I can't tell you that I was trying to get a surprise for you until I present the surprise, and then now after you present the surprise, you say, "The day that you was looking for me here, I was at the jeweler. And the jeweler was getting this made for me. And I couldn't talk to you that day while I was there because it was going to ruin the surprise. So I couldn't afford to do that because I wanted it to be a surprise. And since it was a surprise, that's the only reason I didn't tell you that I was there. Other than that, I'm a man of integrity, a man of character. I'm going to tell you what is going on in my life. I have no reason to hide anything from you. And when you present these beautiful gifts or things or whatever you're going to do, even if it's just nothing but a rose, you say, "Baby, I was thinking about you and I wanted to get you this rose." And that's showing that you got character. That's showing that you're a man of integrity. And she needs that kind of man in her life, because when she gets that kind of man in her life changes. And then now you're a living example of how your sons and your daughters are going to be, because they grow up saying, "My dad's a man of integrity. My mom really respects him." I hardly ever see them argue. I do see them disagree from time to time, but they hardly ever argue. So now they have a standard. Mm-hmm. And you want your children to have a standard of how to live and how to be in a marriage, because of the fact that you want a man of integrity. You don't want your daughters to get a man that don't want to work. You don't want your daughters to get a man that don't have no integrity. You want them to find a man with some integrity.
Yes, and you want them to love the way that they see you love, and go about being with someone. You don't want your especially if you have girls, you don't want your girls marrying someone that's not going to treat them like a lady. And so dad normally shows them how a man should treat you, and then also how he treats your mom is what you get to see, and it is really important. I think that we covered a lot of what a woman wants. We didn't cover everything, of course, but this will give you some building blocks to get started on the things that women want. And of course, there's more, and I'm sure we'll do what men want as well.
Amen. Maybe that'll be next week's show. Things that men need in a marriage, because some of us are dealing with different things in our lives, and we have different expectations. When we got married, we wanted things to go here, and then after we got married, it seemed like everything's right here, and we like wondering what happened in the midst of it. So maybe we'll tune in next week and we'll deal with that. But before we get to that and then go off the air real quick, every now and then, and when I say every now and then, every day, you ought to hold your wife. Just show her some affection, not just when it's time to go to bed. Show her some affection. You know, tell her you love her. Give her a kiss on the cheek. Hold her in your arms, because she wants to be held just like you wants to be held. You know, I know some of y'all, "Man, I don't need to be held." You need to be held just like she needs to be held, because when we get that part covered, it's easier to go into the other parts. I ain't got no help out there tonight. God bless you. We love you tonight, but it's easier when you're showing affection all the time. One of my daughters used to say that's too much public affection. She used to use the abbreviation, and I'm like, huh, what is she talking about? You know, because PDA. I would come home and just give my wife a kiss or a big old hug, and she said, that's too much affection. That's how it's supposed to be. That's when a man loves his wife and he wants to show her, I love and I appreciate you just because. So we thank you tonight for joining us on Relationship Matters. God has been good to us, and we thank God for what he's been doing in your life and in ours. And we pray that we've been enlightening you with some type of information to help you in your relationship. I know some of you are in the valley right now, but I believe God's ready to bring you out the valley and put you on the mountaintop, because all my good days are going to outweigh my bad days. And I thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Melvin, and this is my lovely wife, Monica, for joining us tonight on Relationship Matters. And we love you and see you on next week.
God bless you.
Awesome Bright Cleaning Services offers commercial cleaning for the corporate, medical, post-construction, and restaurant industries. We also offer 24-hour COVID remediation services. Contact us at 313-509-8345 for a competitive quote. Awesome Bright, we know the ABCs of good cleaning.
Thank you for joining Relationship Matters. Catch us again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Worship Radio International as we continue to enlighten you about strength in relationships. For all questions, please email us at relationshipmatters99@gmail.com. Again, that's relationshipmatters99@gmail.com. If you would like to sow a seed into the ministry, there's 2 ways that you can do that. Through Cash App, $GSD Ministries, again, $GSD Ministries, or go to our website at GreaterShilohDeliveranceMinistries.com. Thank you.